Are you a golfer and noticing a lack of distance in some of your clubs? Or are you noticing that you are forced to lay up instead of going right at the green? And are you noticing that those extra shots are starting to affect your scorecard? This is a challenge that a lot of golfers notice where they're losing their swing speed, which is relating to a lack of distance on a lot of their shots. We notice that a lot of these golfers start to have this issue when they start to get close to that age of 50, 55, 60, or even 65. So what we're going to do today is go over a couple of exercises that you can start to include in your daily workouts to help address these areas. So I have my partner Jason here. What we are going to do to start is one of our favorite stretches here that addresses just the full body and helps with some rotational flexibility. So this first exercise is called open books. So what I'm going to have Jason do is lay down on his side on the mat here. Again, this is a rotational type of stretch, really full body exercise. So he's laying down on his side. I want his bottom hand to lay on top of his knees. So that's going to force his knees to stay together and, more importantly, stay on the ground. From here, I'm going to have Jason with his right side. He's going to reach up nice and tall towards the ceiling, and then he's going to start to rotate open. Good. Notice how Jason is keeping his hand even with head height. He's not dropping it towards his hip. And also his other hand is staying right on top of his knees. He's not letting those knees come apart or start to come off of the ground. And another final really important factor here is Jason's breathing. So when he's in this open position, he's taking a really deep inhale, which is going to help stretch a lot of these muscles in the rib cage area and all of those rotational muscles. So we usually instruct taking about 2, maybe 3 deep breaths in this open position. And you do that a couple of times. Good. Yep. So about 5 or 6 rotations open, and you want to do that on both sides. So now that we've gotten some of these rotational muscles a little more stretched out, a little more flexible, and we're starting to warm up, before we jump into explosive exercises, we need to first get some of his balance kind of turned on and working. So a really good exercise we like for that is, it's called a single leg stance with torso rotation. So we're going to take a club here, and Jason's going to put that right across the tops of his shoulders. Good. He's going to get into what we call a staggered stance. So that's where he's got most of the body weight on his lead leg here. And his back leg is just there for support, maybe 10% body weight. Now from here, Jason is going to isolate his upper body, and he's going to rotate back and forth, primarily into that leg. Again, trying to isolate the upper body, no hip movement here. Now, this is a great way to start for someone who struggles with balance or is a beginner with a lot of fitness exercises. But if you're more advanced, what you can do is you can take that back leg off of the ground and try to rotate on just that lead leg. And this is a pretty tough one. You'll even see Jason wiggling a little bit, which is fine. But again, isolating that, just the upper body, and really trying to keep the end of that club pointing down at the ground as he rotates. Good. Again, you want to do about 10 reps on each side, 2 sets. And that will kind of help get some of those muscles responsible for helping with balance as you swing hard through the swing and as you do exercises to help with that speed and power. So we're nice and stretched out. We've got the balance muscles turned on and working. And now the final piece to help work on this swing speed, which relates to more distance on your clubs, is to actually work the muscles responsible for that kind of fast twitch movement that we have in the golf swing. So one of our favorites we like that has little to no equipment is called skater jumps. Now this is a jumping exercise, so if you have no experience with jumping, you want to start relatively low or small jumps. Now, skater jumps are not so much about jumping high up and down. It's more of a lateral jump. So Jason's in kind of loaded up into his hip, and he's just going to explode and jump out to the side. And you can tap that back foot in between if you really need help with the balance. But again, the objective here is to jump as far as you can side to side, not so much up and down. Again, this is another good exercise to practice loading into that hip, which is what we need to be able to do to create a lot of force in the swing. So again, start small with those jumps if you're new to exercising. But over time, you want to try to maximize that distance while staying controlled. So that's really the key component here, is working those fast twitch muscle fibers, but making sure you're stretched out and warmed up, your balance is ready to go, and then working on those areas is the best way you can work on increasing your speed, and thus relates to the distance. So start working on those exercises, and I hope that helps increasing your swing speed.